Austin Faith Dialogue, a public affairs program at the crossroads of religion and life. A series of programs highlighting the social and cultural interaction between the worshiping and larger communities in and around the capital city. Austin Faith Dialogue is brought to you by the Austin Area Conference of Churches in cooperation with KTBC.
Your host for this program on Reflections of College Life, from the viewpoint of three persons having completed their first year at the college of their choice. Education has always been an important dimension for our society. From the earliest days of our history as a nation, institutions of higher learning were planted. Today, as we talk about life on the college campus and how faith intersects this exciting time of life, I welcome to Austin Faith Dialogue Zach Harmon from Princeton University, Melissa Mao from Mount Holyoke College, and Chris Ransdell from the University of Texas at Austin. Welcome to the three of you. I know that it's really a busy time in your lives. It's been a major effort on my part getting the three of you here so that we could have this time together. But I'm really delighted that you accepted the opportunity to come and talk to us about you and about college life and what's going on the college campus of your choice. But first of all, it's summer. What's happening summer? Zach, what are you doing this summer here in Austin? What's keeping you busy, and are you enjoying yourself?
What's keeping me busy? Well, I'm working downtown for the first time. I'm not working outside, which is good and bad, but I'm working at a law firm, and I'm enjoying it. It's a new experience. I'm having fun, and I'm trying to enjoy myself. Finals are over, so it's time to have a little fun.
So you make a little money that'll help you in college,
yeah.
And you have a little fun with high school friends, people you've known, and
high school friends, and now some friends from school who live around here, which is also nice. I mean, a little more traveling around Texas than I had done before. So,
do you have any other college friends from Princeton who are here in the Austin area, or are you the only one that you know of from Princeton who's back here in Austin for the summer?
Well, I've made some very close friends at school who I did not know before, from around here, and by around here, by my standards, is Dallas and
just up the road a piece.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City, and we're going to commute back and forth, so that's going to be nice. And my high school friends.
Does it feel good to be back in Austin?
Feels great.
Good. Missy, how about you? What are you doing this summer now that you're back in Austin?
Well, I've been hanging around so far. I looked for a job for a while and found out that not that many people like to hire for only 3 months of the year. So I'm just doing some temporary work now. I'm being assigned to different offices and things like that, so that's earning a little bit of extra money.
You going to try to get any of that Austin sunshine?
Sure. Use my pool.
Go out to the swimming pool and catch some of those rays?
Yep, I've been to the beach once already, which was great. Caught up with some friends.
Do you have any friends from Mount Holyoke who are back here in Austin for the summer, or are you the only one, or do you have to go to Dallas to find like Zach did?
No, there's two in Austin, two other girls, but we never got that close at school, so I don't see them that often. But
Chris, you stayed right around Austin to go to the University of Texas. How about you this summer? You staying busy? I know you're busy, but what are you doing?
I'm working at a bookstore, and
helping out also with daycare center?
I work at a daycare center, and then I'm taking a summer class as well.
Great. Well, we want to talk a little bit about why you decided to go to the schools that you went, that you are attending presently, and give us some reasons why you decided to head off to East Coast and why you decided to stay here in Austin and go to the University of Texas. You went to Lanier High School, Melissa, and graduated from there, and decided then, as you were in your senior year, to look far away from Austin. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Any particular reason why you decided to go to Mount Holyoke? And tell us a little bit about that campus and where it's located.
Well, part of it was that, well, it's located in Massachusetts in a really small town, and part of it was I wanted to get to the East Coast because, for one, I've never lived there. I've lived around a lot of places, but I'd never been on the East Coast. So I thought that would be interesting, and I really wanted to live on my own, you know, get out from under my parents' thumb a little bit. And I didn't really want to just go to UT. I wanted to try something a little bit different.
Kind of expand your horizons and see some
and the reputation for East Coast schools.
Mount Holyoke has a good reputation. We want to talk a little bit about that. Tell us about the school. It's an old college?
It's a women's college. We just had our 150th anniversary. It's the oldest women's college in the United States.
And it draws students from all around the world?
All over. One of my best friends at school is from India, and I have friends from Colorado, Florida, Michigan, just about everywhere.
I want to come back to that and ask you about being challenged and the challenges you experienced there. But let's go to Zach. How about why the decision to go to East Coast again, to an Ivy League school, to go to Princeton?
Well, like Melissa, I wanted to, I've never lived on the East Coast, and to me it was very attractive for a lot of different reasons. Princeton gave me the chance to play football, to continue to play football, and for me, football is and always has been an extracurricular activity, and it still is, and that's nice. I guess that and the fact that on the East Coast, I felt like in a place like Princeton, I can meet some people in the places other than Texas. That I think that's important when I graduate from college. I hope I have friends all over the nation. That would be nice. And
as I understand it, Mount Holyoke is in a small town, South Hadley, Massachusetts. Is that correct? And Princeton, New Jersey isn't a big metropolitan area either, right, Zach? Still, it attracted both of you to go to college because of reputation of the schools and the opportunity to play football, the academics, and we want to pursue a little bit about the challenges that you experienced there, not only on the gridiron and football, but also in the classrooms. Chris, you decided to stay close to home, and we have two who have gone to residential colleges, and that's been an interesting part of their lives, but you decided to stay home and even to live at home and to commute from North Austin into the University of Texas. What particular reasons did you decide to go to the University of Texas?
For the price, the University of Texas has a really good reputation, and I got some good money going there. They offered me some grants.
You have the gift of art. You like to be involved in artistic things. What about the art school there? Your scholarships then and your grants were offered to you through the School of Art, is that correct?
No, they were just grants from the state of Texas.
I see. And that is one of the reasons you decided that because of proximity and because of cost, that it'd be best to go to a school that has, we think, a pretty good reputation.
Yeah.
Have you been pleased with the University of Texas your first year?
Yes, I've been very impressed with a lot of the professors. They're pretty well known. That's nice.
And they also have given you a challenge as you've gone through this first year there. Let's talk a little bit about those challenges and how we grow in this first year of college. I'm wondering about, I remember when I went off to college, and I went to college back in the 60s and the seminary back in the 60s, and I remember going off to college. I was scared. I didn't go very far. I always went down the road a ways. I was in Washington State and didn't go very far away from home. But were you, when you took off and decided to go back to the East Coast, were you scared at all by going that far away from home and to a place where you had not been before? Melissa, what was your reaction to that?
I wasn't really nervous at all. It kind of surprised me because I never got the little jitters in my stomach like I had expected I would. It was just, I don't know, I guess I'd accepted it because I had known for a long time that I was going to go.
When you had a campus at Mount Holyoke, did they invite you to be a part of the community? Did you sense the community experience as soon as you got there? Were there people who were saying, we're glad you're here and we want you to participate in this or in that?
I was like one of the last ones that got there. I got there really late in the evening on opening day, and so most of the activities had already taken place. And we just had a few dorm activities that night, and it was just kind of mellow, really. Just, you know, get to know your floor a little bit. We had a meeting on our floor just to kind of get acquainted with everyone, but there wasn't a whole lot.
How did they develop a sense of community for you? How did you develop a sense of groupness and people around you? Here you come all the way from Austin, Texas to go out to Massachusetts to college. How did you develop a sense of the people around you? Was it through where you live? Do you sleep and eat in the same building? Do you go someplace else to eat? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's your social life on campuses mostly revolves around the dorm. And you meet people in the dorm, you sleep. We had a lunch dorm, and so we had all 3 meals in the dorm. And it's just, you're around the girls in your dorm all the time, so they're basically your circle of friends.
So the community you develop is based upon the residential area where you are.
Right.
Can you expand that at all? Can you, by getting into some other groups, is it a possibility to expand it?
There's clubs on campus and things like that, and you meet people in your classes, but it really is mainly your dorm. But you move around from dorm to dorm each year. You change dorms. We go by the lottery system, and so you meet, I mean, you keep your friends, like I'll keep my friends from my dorm this year, and then I'll make new friends at my new dorm, and it just, so by the time you're a senior, you have a pretty good circle.
Zach, I bet you really had a community built in right away. You know, it's kind of like a preacher. When you come to a new town, there's a congregation waiting for you, and in the early months and years of a pastorate, you know, the honeymoon is on, and then after a while that kind of wears off. But I would imagine that when you went to Princeton, there was a community because you had the football team waiting, or the coaches, or somebody there waiting for you. Is that correct?
Yes, that was nice, because going there, I was put in an environment, the football team, where I immediately had to form friendships. I mean, it's something about spending 30 hours a week with the same group of people that you know them well fast. And I enjoyed it, a great bunch of guys, and that's nice. We also have a dorm system, a residential college system, and I think that helped out a lot too. It introduced me to a whole group of people that I probably wouldn't have met otherwise. The way it works at Princeton is once you put in a residential college that you stay for 2 years, and you're assigned randomly to a roommate. There's no any kind of athletic dormitories or anything like that. Everyone's put in the same lottery system, random, and once you're in that dorm, which in itself is like a small community, and you meet people, and just because you live so close together, and it's co-ed dorms, both males and females, you meet those people, know them well, and then they divide us up even further into residential advisor groups. And you have your residential advisor and a group of, I guess there were 12 freshmen in my group, and that's another group where you're put together for a lot of things, and at first it's kind of like a camp or something like that, and they have activities for you, which is nice because you meet people, and pretty soon it's usually the people who live right around you, which is also nice because it's nice to know the person who lives in the room next door when you run out of soap and you're in the shower. But it was great. I think they really did a good job with it. After 3 weeks I felt comfortable, and I had friends that I felt comfortable around, and it's nice.
In those first 3 weeks, did they call you Tex, or did they give it a kind of description to you coming from Texas? Did you have to bear that kind of burden?
I was lucky because a lot of the guys who live in my dorm are from Texas, and a lot of the guys on the football team are from Texas.
So you just wanted
It's funny, I guess I don't have as much of an accent as some of them do, and that's, you know, it's kind of a game. It's never bad,
Sure.
but people from the South and then people from the Northeast and Midwesterners all sound different, and there's the kidding. There's the hometown pride that
Sure.
goes into it too, but it's all in fun.
That's great. Community is established in a residential college through a lot of different ways, but how about someone who lives at home and then commutes into campus? And I would imagine, Chris, driving down I-35, you know, that traffic, and coming into campus and finding a place to park, and then trying to locate a group of people. How do you go about developing a sense of community at the University of Texas, a big school for a commuter student?
Well, since the university is close to, you know, I mean, it is my hometown and everything, several of my friends from high school go to the university as well, so I've kept in touch with them. But the other friends that I've made are all just art students. The university is really, really big, and I think that unless you live on campus, you don't meet very many people.
Didn't you tell me your plan is now that you are going to be going onto campus next year?
Yeah.
But the experience of living off campus and driving didn't seem to hurt you. You enjoyed the year, and it was the opportunity to grow and do your artwork, right?
Yeah, the drive was hard, and you know, if I wanted to study or something, I'd have to allow 30 minutes coming and going to get down there, and that's another reason for moving closer.
Sure. How about developing that sense of community on the university campus from a religious community standpoint, whether it be at the University of Texas, Mount Holyoke, or Princeton, or any college? How do you go about, or how did they go about trying to invite you into some sort of sense of a faith community, a religious community? This is called Austin Faith Dialogue, so you're ours, you know. You're our young people, your families love you, your home congregations and traditions love you. Well, they send you off to college. They're wondering, did they find any religious people there? Anybody who has a similar faith? What happens? I know that Princeton has a connection with a Christian denomination. What about reaching out to you and inviting you to participate in a faith community, Zach? Did you find anybody doing that? Was there a chaplain? Anybody come knocking on your door?
Well, part of the admissions process at Princeton involved letting the school know beforehand which denomination was in your background, and I guess they in turn passed that on to the local congregation.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, when I showed up, as far as the church itself, they knew I was coming, and when I was there, they were ready for me. The actual, I guess, faith community that you're talking about, I think at my school involved more student groups, student-run groups, and that was where it kind of the, I guess, recruitment went on for Bible study groups and things of that nature. And they have a lot of them. It's a very competitive force at the school, and it really does well. I think a lot of students are involved in that.
And they have inviting you to come in, Zach, to, for instance, Bible studies, inviting you into discussions on social issues, doing a variety of things? Is that what they do?
I think when I say the Bible study group, that's just one in particular that I'm involved in, but the groups with the religious kind of a foundation, I don't think that's the limit. I mean, there's the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and all sorts of other groups like that I think are not just focusing on any kind of a religious issue. I think it's more just a group of people who have you know, a tradition in common, and they get together and they may have fun and
social type thing as well.
Well, it's social and other. I mean, I think that they handle it well, because otherwise I think it would be tough for them.
I want to come back to that and just ask you to expand a little bit upon the faith tradition that you were raised in, and maybe how that gave you a sense of confidence as you went to a school far away. Melissa, what about at Mount Holyoke? Is there religious communities there who try to recruit you, try to invite you in to participate with them? Did you receive invitations to come to Bible studies or that type of thing?
There wasn't a whole lot of, well, my college isn't religiously affiliated, like it might sound, but there wasn't a lot of like extracurricular religious activities going on, like Bible studies and things like. There were some, but they weren't publicized, and I feel my school being in the Northeast, there were predominant religions on campus. Right. And I felt like the activities on campus were more geared towards those religions. And there were the small churches in town which sent newsletters, because mine is the same as Zach's. They know your religion before you come. And so they would send newsletters and things like that. But I have a real thing for my church here in Austin, and
glad to hear you say that.
I'm just I feel like anything else is going to shine in comparison, so I don't really check around.
But the local congregation in the community there did send you an invitation to come and participate with them.
I still get newsletters from them even during the summer.
What was the biggest challenge? Let's go back to that. Gee, there's so many things I want to ask you guys. I'm really excited that I can talk to you, because I've talked to the high school seniors who will be going off to college this year. What was the biggest challenge that you faced in your freshman year going off to the University of Texas? Chris, what was the challenge for you?
I had other friends in other departments, but I didn't have any friends at all that were going into the art department at UT. So probably just trying to meet some people and figure out where my little niche was.
To develop relationships with people that you felt comfortable with, even though you weren't living on campus. Still, as you went about your responsibilities in school, you want to find a relationship. Biggest challenge, Melissa, when you went off to Mount Holyoke?
That's a lot of it. Also, when I get there and I realize that I don't know anyone, and it's up to me to make a whole new circle of friends. And that's one of the big. Another thing is just the challenge to decide what I want to do with my life, and it's kind of scary, because I have no idea what I want to do. And
scary and exciting at the same time, because it deals with all of that. And I think that's where the faith issues come in and the religious issues come in, that what am I going to do with this gift that God has given me? How am I going to use the talents that I have that God has given to me so generously? And where do I want to study and enrich my life? Zach, what's the biggest challenge for you? Were you guaranteed a spot on the football team? I've got to know that. Did they say, Zach Harmon, you're going to play outside linebacker.
Well, football wasn't the biggest challenge. I mean, it was by no means easy for me. I showed up a little bit probably behind maybe a lot of the other people who played my position, but I think my biggest challenge was going into school and not knowing anyone, knowing that what I was going to, the person I was going to emerge as in that group at Princeton was based completely on what I was going to do. It didn't have anything to do with you know, who I'd grown up with or where I lived or anything like that. It was all me, and it's a good feeling because I come away from there feeling like I'm happy with the situation that I'm in, and that reflects well on me in my mind, just because I feel like I did it all myself, and that's a nice feeling. And the parents aren't involved, and no one else in that kind of a sheltered environment that you have growing up, and it's nice.
But the responsibility rests with you, that you're going to take it upon yourself to face it. I have to know this also. I know that Princeton's located near New York City, Philadelphia. Did you have time to ever go to the Big Apple and participate in any of the plays that are offered there and then goes on?
We did. We went to, we would actually, Princeton itself, Princeton, New Jersey is a very small town, and it's mostly a retirement community. And so whenever we weren't at school and we had a free weekend or maybe just a free day overnight, we would go to one of the big cities around there. It's nice to go into a big city because sometimes you feel like you're kind of spread apart, you know, separated from the rest of the world when you're in such a small community. But I was lucky in that I had friends who lived in the major cities around Princeton, and so I could go to say New York and spend a weekend and still have 3 or 4 quarters left when I came back, you know. So, and also I was also lucky, the public transportation system in and around New York and the Princeton area is just great. We have a train station in Princeton, and so we were able to come and go as we wanted, and that was nice. I mean, it was nice to be in the country and still be able to.
I hear you saying that, you know, I did it on my own and I faced up to this, but really, Zach Harmon, Melissa Mao, Chris Ransdell, you come with a lot of stuff, all right? Parents, faith, local congregations, all the stuff that leads up this time when you head off to college, right? Am I right? You know, you haven't lived in a vacuum, correct? You know, you've had a lot of input into your lives, right? And so here you go off to these places, and when you were going off to the Big Apple or going someplace, did you think ever, well, you know, this is what Mom and Dad taught me, and this is kind of what I think I want to be about on this trip? Did you ever have that kind of voice speaking to you during that time? Did you think, harken back home to Austin? I know you're there and you're enjoying Princeton, but was there ever a sense of bonding with being back home and those who are back home?
Well, it was my first year in college, and I didn't just appear and leave everything else behind. I feel like I haven't changed much. I've kept the same values and habits, good and bad. Yeah, I've stayed the same. I've stayed, yeah, confession. I've stayed the same, but there I had a chance to really see what I was, and that's what I'm saying. When I have a very strong relationship with the people here in Austin, which is nice because I feel like I can be in either place and feel equally comfortable. And so when I was there, lots of times I wished I was here. And now that I'm here, there are a lot of things from back at school that I really do miss.
That's beautiful. Missy, how about you? The same way, that kind of sense of having bonding with those who, connectedness with those. How many letters a week would you get or would you send?
Well, the first semester was a lot better than the second semester because I was home for a month at Christmas, and I also came home for spring break, so there wasn't too much time in there to really start missing people. But first semester I got a lot of mail and sent a lot of mail, especially the first week. I think was especially. As
Zach was saying, that faith, those values, the traditions, that was a part of you as you went about doing your things at Mount Holyoke, and never would leave a person, huh?
Yeah.
And Chris, you know, even though you're at home, going to University of Texas nearby, still, that's a big campus, a lot of people there, that kind of, those values, that faith that you've been taught, that stayed with you, huh?
Oh, of course. Even though I do go to a school that's nearby, it's nice to just be able to go home and just relax and not have to worry about anything.
And
So,
have that feeling of connection, I think. That's
Yes.
really important. And I think we want to say that to the people who are watching this program, that the time we have together as family is a very holy and sacred time. And you all are a result, and beautiful result, of families that are close to one another and love one another and affirm one another. And that means a lot to have that happen. I have a couple other things I'd really like to ask you, and time is running short, so we don't have a lot of time. But when I grew up when I went to college in the 60s, Vietnam, civil rights, just tell me, are the campuses socially alive? Is everybody interested in getting a good job and making lots of money? Zach, Princeton, is there some social concern on campus there? Give me a yes or no. I'll take that, huh? What did you
Yes,
feel?
I feel like there is. I don't think it's the kind of social action that went on in the 60s.
Mhm.
But I feel like people, and at Princeton, people like to express their views, and social activities, current events are important
And the
things to talk
administration
about.
leaves room for that, for the students
yeah.
to express their
Oh,
views.
yeah.
Mount Holyoke the same way, a private school, they allow a time for students to express themselves?
There's not that much expression going on. It's a pretty conservative group. And I feel like most of the campus isn't even that much abreast of what's going on in the world, because I feel like we're really submerged in our little rural environment. And
Spend a lot of time on academics.
I barely read a newspaper, never watch the news on TV.
Wow.
You don't catch a lot of the things that go on.
Okay, the academics and the studies. Chris, how about University of Texas? There's things going on.
I think at UT, everyone's pretty active in what's going on. There are always protests going on every day. You'd walk by and there'd be somebody talking about something.
Well, I tell you, it's really an exciting time for you guys, and you're growing, and I think that's what life is all about, and best experience when we grow and are challenged, and I think that's what you are doing. If I were to sum up life, I'd say life is to be experienced as a time of growth. Growth physically, growth emotionally, growth intellectually, and growth spiritually. And as we challenge ourselves during college and experience the challenge of others, we learn to celebrate what I call the gift of life. I want to thank the three of you for coming here and presenting your colleges and your freshman year in college, and we hope that you'll continue to grow in wisdom. Thanks for being with me.